Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got a puzzle for you by Jovial. Now, Jovial is such a brilliant setter. I know I won't need to tell many of you about that. If you tried her 20 Sudoku extravaganza from Patreon last month, you'll be very familiar with how good Jovial's puzzles are. And in fact, I think I only did one of Jovial's puzzles just the other day. Well, we're going to have a look at this one. This has just appeared on Logic Masters Germany. It's got an enormous rating, as you'd expect, and apparently it is approachable. It's called Killer Sudoku X, which is quite a good description of the rule set, and I'll read those out to you in just a second. Couple of things to mention first. If you have not looked or tried the puzzle from yesterday's video, you really must. This is it. It's Ard van der Wetering with this ridiculous looking Sudoku, which features 16 one-cell thermometers arranged symmetrically in the grid. Now, if you think about it for just a moment, you will realise that a one-cell thermometer doesn't seem to be telling you very much at all. And indeed, I did get quite stuck on this, but I did manage to battle through it, and it is one of the most brilliant puzzles I've ever solved in my life. Incredibly memorable. So just please have a go. Yeah, I'll try and remember to put a card on the screen. The only other thing I wanted to mention today is something quite cool about SudokuPad, which of course is the app that Sven's developed for us. Sven being our programmer. Sven's behind all of the software you can see on the screen at the moment. And SudokuPad allows you to put your own puzzles into our software. So if you develop a classic Sudoku, you can type it in and then play it in our software, which is a feature many of you have asked for ages. Well, there is an update coming soon to SudokuPad, which is it's very cool indeed. It's going to allow you to share puzzles with other people, and that's quite interesting because it also allows us to share puzzles with you. And in fact, those puzzles that we can share with you are not limited to just classics. We can share any puzzle with you, and that is exactly what we plan to do. So the update's not live yet, probably be live in about a week's time, but at that point we plan to release regular exclusive content, exclusive puzzles for any of you who do own SudokuPad. It's just a couple of bucks, I think, over on the various platforms. And and there is a PC version coming soon as well. So all sorts of exciting things happening in the world of SudokuPad. Not a sentence I thought I'd ever say. But with that said, let us get to Jovial's puzzle, and I'll read you the rules. We have got simple rules today. Normal Sudoku rules apply, which is good. On each main diagonal marked in blue, digits cannot repeat. Okay, so that is interesting, and that means, for example, those digits there have to contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage if given. Okay, we've got a cage here without a total. So this cage is in here, well, I suspect partly for symmetry, to make sure that the cages all look symmetrical. I've actually got a tear in my eye. I've got to get rid of the tear in my eye. I could tell you why I've got the tear in my eye. It's because I was thinking about an episode of The Office I saw yesterday, the American Office, which I've become hopelessly addicted to. It's the one where Michael Scott talks about, somebody says Jesus to him and he replies Apollo Creed. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I almost cried with laughter. I did cry with laughter. Anyway. Let's get back to this. So we've got this here, and then digits cannot repeat within a cage. So normal Killer Sudoku. My mind is all over the place. Anyway, this is the puzzle. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I can get cracking here. Look, I've got a 6 cage in 3 cells. That's got to be 1, 2, and 3. A 7 cage in 3 cells must be 1, 2, and 4. It's quite nice to be able to pencil mark options into killer cages immediately. Many times I don't. Well, an 8 cage in 3 cells has to contain a 1. And this is a more familiar feeling. The feeling of being stuck. What is going on now? Well, I'm wondering about the 9 in the middle, because the 9 seems to be carving a path through these given killer cages all over the place. Oh, yeah, okay. I think I know what this 9 is doing. Let me just have a look at this for a moment. This is really lovely, I think. I think I understand what this is saying. So the 9 in the middle, in fact I've missed out that purple. I think this purple in here is irrelevant. If you look at how the tendrils that this 9 sort of gives out and how they interact with the grid, they reach a lot of interesting places so far as the edges of the grid are concerned. So what I'm thinking is, where are we going to put a 9 in row 1 of the grid? And the answer is, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be in one of those cells. We're also going to have to put a 9 in column 9 of the grid. Again, I don't know where it goes, but it'll be in one of those cells. We're also going to have to put a 9 in row 9 of the grid. That's going to have to be in one of those cells. And we're going to have to put a 9 in column 1 of the grid, and that's going to be in one of those cells. Now, why is that interesting? Well, yeah, this is beautiful. This is just beautiful. Let's count how many 9s we expect there to be in the Sudoku. The answer is 9 9s, because we've got 9 boxes, 9 rows and 9 columns. There's 1. The greens are 2, the blues are 3, the yellows are 4, and the reds are 5. So we still need to put 4 9s in this puzzle. Where are we going to put them? Well, one place we're not going to put them is in a 6 cage, in a 7 cage, in an 8 cage, or in a 9 cage. And look at the way they sort of spiral round. It's like a windmill effect of the 6, 7s, 8s, and 9s. You can almost feel how Jovial has set the puzzle. So we can actually purple those. You can't put 9s in those. You can't put 9s in those, because they're in the middle box of the Sudoku with the 9. So I've got to put 4 9s in these windmill shapes. Ta-da! Oh, that's going to be huge, look, for that 12 cage. Right, do I need the highlighting anymore? That's the question. The answer is maybe not. I'm going to get rid of it, but I'm fully prepared to reinstate it. But we've just worked out there's a 9 in each of those cages in order to ensure we've got 9 9s in the puzzle. Now, this cage is a 12 cage, so that's 1, 2, and 9. This is right. Okay, so what's this square? This is our first digit. That's a 4. Why is this a 4? Well, we've got a 1 and a 2 in that 6 cage and a 1 and a 2 in that 12 cage. So how many 1s and 2s are we anticipating finding in row 2 and row 3 of the grid? Well, in row 2, there's going to be 1 1 and 1 2. In row 3, there's going to be 1 1 and 1 2. So between the two of them, there are 2 1s and 2 2s, and we know that they are in those cells. So if this was a 2, for example, that would be a third 2 in those 2 rows of the grid, which is clearly impossible according to the rules of Sudoku. So that is a 4. There's no 4 in there. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to use the fact I've definitely got a 1 in the 8 cage, and I've got a 1 in the 12 cage now. So again, we can ask this same type of question. How many 1s are we expecting there to be in column 6 and column 7 together? The answer is 2 1s. There'll be 1 in column 6, 1 in column 7. We know one of those 1s is in there, one of those 1s is in there. So there can't be a third 1 in that cell. That's a 2, that's a 1. That's no longer a 2. Beautiful. If that's no longer a 2, there's a 2 in those 2 squares in the 12 cage, so there's no 2 in those 2 squares of the 6 cage. Oh, this is just gorgeous, isn't it? It's not too tricky so far, but after the shenanigans of yesterday, this is very welcome. I've got a 1 9 pair here now. So that's got to be a 3, that's got to be a 1. Now this can't be a 1 anymore, and we are cooking with gas. There's got to be a 1 down there by Sudoku. There's got to be a 2 in one of those squares. 1 in the central box. Is that restricted? It is a little bit. It's got to be in one of those 2 cells, not on the diagonal. Right. I've not really used the diagonals apart from the sort of initial geometry, but let's think about 1 now in the context of this diagonal. you can see that it can't be in those three, and it can't be in those three, so it must be in one of those three. Okay, that might not matter actually. 2. Yeah, the same sort of thing is available with 2 on this other diagonal, so you can't put 2 there. You don't seem to be able to put 2 there because these are 6, 9 and 7. So there's got to be a 2 in one of those two positions. Right, okay. Oh, here we go, look. I should have spotted this immediately. The 8 cage can't have a 2 in it, so it must be 1, 3 and 4. And that's not a 1, because of the 1 at the top of column 7. So there's definitely a 1 in those two cells, which means there's not a 1 here. Gorgeous. So this is a 1. And there's a 1 over there now in box 4. And there's a 2 vertically in column 4. So there's a 2 in one of those 3 squares in box 8. Now what do we do? That's a good question. 6, 9s and 7s are ruled out of all of those cells. Not sure if that matters. Can't see why. Maybe... Can we do anything with the 16 cage perhaps? Oh yes, hang on, look, I've got a 1 and a 6 in column 4 already, so the 16 cage can't be 9, 1, 6 because you'd have to put a 1 and a 6 in this cell simultaneously, and there are no such things as Schrödinger cells in Sudoku. So this is either 9, 2, it's not what, okay, it's not 9, 2, 5 either, because I've got 2's ruled out of the entirety of the box. So this is 3, 4, 9, and we know where the 3 goes. So that's a 3, that's a 3, that's a 4, that's a 1. Good grief. 3 is in one of those squares. This is a 4, 9 pair, which we can do. So that's 4, that's 9. 4 goes in one of these 3 squares. And 4 must therefore be in one of 3 cells in box 5, although we may be able to do better than that. I'm not sure. 1, 1, 1. Oh, I can get rid of some 1s. Look, 1s go out of those squares. So how many 1s have I got in the grid? The answer is some. Oh, 1 in box 1 has to be in one of those 3. 1. So 1 is in one of those 2 squares because it's got to appear on that diagonal. On the other diagonal, 1 is in one of... this is lovely. This is absolutely lovely. Look where the 1s go on this diagonal. I can never remember if this is called the positive or the negative diagonal. It always seems a bit strange to me that it would have any such adjective described or ascribed to it, but we can see on this diagonal here, I'm going to call it the thingy diagonal, the 1 is either there or there. So could this cell ever be a 1? Well, the answer is no, because if I put a 1 there, I can no longer put a 1 at all on this diagonal, the thingy diagonal. So don't put a 1 there, and if there's no 1 there, there's a 1 here in box 7, and that means there's no 1 there, there's no 1 there, there's no 1 there. Oh, I see. And now we place the 1 on the thingy diagonal in this square, which gives us a 2 as well, which means that's not a 2. That means this is a 2, and that's on the other diagonal, the anti-thingy diagonal. Now, what does that mean? Yes, this is good in this box, isn't it? That can't be a 2 anymore, so we get the 2 here. The 9 cage might be useful now. I'm just wondering if it... I can't quite... Well, no, I can't quite lock a 2 into it or out of it. Oh, but I... yeah, I can lock a 1 out of it. Look at the 9 cage. It can't have a 1 in it. There's a 1 here, So this cell is not a 1, and there's a 1, well, it's a 1 there, here. So these aren't 1s. So if there's no 1 in the 3-cell 9 cage, it must be a 2, 3, 4 cage. That's the only way of doing it. And that means, well, there's a 3 here. So that square is a 3, that's a 2, that can't be a 2 anymore, so this is a 2 and this is a 4. And now we've filled our 9 cage. Good lord, that's not a 4 anymore. Okay, let's just pause for breath here. Yeah, and R square 3 goes in the central box. That's a sensible question. It can only go there. So the 4 is vertical. The 4 is vertical in box 2. 3 is in one of those 3 cells. Oh, this is really... I don't know why this is, or even if it's intended, but I've just noticed, if you look at the pencil marks along these strings of symmetrically placed digits, these triples here, look, in this box we've got the 1s, in this box we've got the 2s, in this box we've got the 3s, and in this box we've got the 4s. I don't know if we can use that to solve the puzzle. Presumably not, but maybe the 20 cage now. A 20 cage... Ah, yeah, okay. Yes, in fact I can. Because what digit... We know that we've got 9 in the 20 cage, so we need 11 more in 2 cells. Now, what we can't use is 2, 9, because that's going to repeat the 9 in the cage. Now, we can't use 3, 8, because this 3 sees all of the cells in the 20 cage. And we can't use 4, 7, because there are these 4s locking 4s out of the whole cage. So this must be 9, 5, 6, I think. And where does the 6 go in? It goes here. So that's a 6. This is a 5, 9 pair. And now I've very nearly done all of the... I've only got the sort of unnumbered cage to do. So, okay, so what do we do next? We've got to put... The answer is I don't know. Maybe I've got to fill in the rest of this diagonal. I need 3s, what do I need? 3s, 4s, 5s and 8s. So this is a 5 or an 8. Because it can't be a 3 or a 4. Oh, I see. Yes, this is a good thought, because this is a 5 or an 8 as well. There's a 3 here and a 4 here. So there's a 5, 8 pair on the thingy diagonal, which means those two are a 3, 4 pair. I've just noticed this 1 is giving me more one-age in the grid, which I could have done earlier. You've probably all been screaming about that, but well, I've done all the 1s now, so it was only those 2 digits it seems to affect. And I've got a 3, 4 pair here, unless my eyes are deceiving me, and a 3 here. So this is a 3, this is a 4, that's a 4 at the bottom, therefore this is a 4 in box 5. This is a 4 by Sudoku. I must have done the 4s. No. But I have if I put that one in. Now I have done all the 4s. Let's check the 3s. Virtually done. Oh, I've not done any 3s in the final 3 columns. So yeah, okay, but look, I've got these 2 3s here, so I need to put a 3 on the anti-thingy diagonal, and it has to go, in fact, in exactly this cell, because it can't go here because of that 3. So that's a 3, that's a 3, and that's a 3, and all the 3s get done. So I've done all the what? Have I done all the 2s? I have done all the 2s. This is very interesting. So basically you can almost do this puzzle in order of digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't do it this way, but I suspect I could have done. So 5s now. Maybe this row. 7s and 8. Oh, okay, yeah. Where does 7 go in that row? It's got to go here. And that means that's got to be an 8 and that's got to be a 5. So this column now needs a 7 and an 8. We can pencil those in. This column needs a 5 and a 6, which we can't do. Can I resolve this 5-8 pair? A good trick, by the way, on diagonal Sudoku, it doesn't work here, but I'll just mention it, is if you do get pairs on the diagonals, it's always worth checking the cells that see both pairs, because obviously this square and this square could not contain a 5 and an 8 now. If you try and put a 5 here, it would rule a 5 out of the other diagonal. So that is something worth bearing in mind. Now let's look at those squares. They must be important. 6s and 7s. Yes. Where does the 6 go on? The anti-thingy diagonal. It's got to go here. So that means that's a 7. 6. So where does 6 go in box 2? It's got to go here, which gives us the 5 at the bottom. 5 must be vertical in column 1. So the 5, look, in box 1 is now vertical in column 3, which means this square's a 5 and this square's a 9. And those two squares are a 6, 8 pair, which we can fill in. That means the bottom cell's a 9. 9, 9. 9's in one of those two. I was wondering if we could do a trick with the 9s and the cage here, but I don't think it works. I don't think I can rule out a 9 from here because there's still one cell that's available for the 9 in box 6. What about those squares? They've got to be 5s and 7s, haven't they? So those 3 squares have got to be 6, 8 and 9. That's not a 6. Can't see if I can finish that off. I probably can, but I can't see how to do it immediately. So where should we look next? What about this column perhaps? 5s. What's am I missing there? 5, 7 and 8. So that's a 7 or that's a 7 or an 8, and that's a 7, 8 pair here now. So 5, 7, 8. Let's come down to the bottom row, where we still need to put a 6 and a 2. Okay, so the 2 goes. Oh, in fact, look, I'd neglected, when I clicked on the 2s, I only clicked and saw 8 of them if I'd studied that, which I didn't. So this is a 6 now. So in this 6, 8, 9 triple, the 6 must go here. I've now got an 8, 9 pair in my... Yeah, okay, well I've definitely got a 9 in this cage now, so this definitely can't be a 9 or it would repeat. So the 9 goes over to this cell. This square's got to be a 5 or a 7 because it can't be an 8, and this square's got to be a 5 or an 8 because it can't be a 7. I see, so the 7 goes here. Now that's interesting. Maybe that's why Jovial didn't give the total for this cage, because it would have been a very useful total. One of those totals in 3 cells that you could have just written in the options for. This 7 is giving us a 7 and a 5. So this square at the top is an 8 or a 9. This is 5, 7 or 8 down this side, 5, 7 or 8. So this square here is 5, 8 or 9. Whoops, it's not 0. Now, can we do that? Probably. I just can't quite see how. I still haven't got this diagonal figured out. That seems to be remiss of me. So these squares here, oh, there's a 7 here, so that's an 8. Good grief, Simon. My scanning is awful. 9. No comments, please. That's a 7. This now is a 5, so this is an 8, this is an 8, this is a 9, this is a 5. And we get a 7, 8 pair here, which doesn't seem to be resolved. We get a 5, 7 pair there, which somewhat strangely also doesn't seem to be resolved. And we get a 6, 8 pair there, which is resolved. Okay, so that's a 6, that's a 5. This column needs 8s and 9s in it, and this should be the final piece of the jigsaw. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very enjoyable. Slightly easier puzzle than yesterday, for sure, even though I absolutely butchered my scanning. But I was talking a lot, so hopefully you'll forgive me. Oh, by the way, I also did try and release, although I don't know if I've managed to do it, the live stream that I recorded the other day. So it's a couple of times crosswords that I worked through. It's the first live stream we've managed to do ever on Cracking the Cryptic. The technology worked, and it was a lot of fun. So thanks so much if you did watch that live. And if you haven't watched it, give it a watch and let us know what you think. We do plan to do more of them in due course. And with that, do come back later for another edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and I'll see you this time again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.